Hey, welcome to the Campbell Museum's collection storage. All the boxes and drawers contain endless stories, and today we'll explore the secret life of one of our boxes. So join me as I explore what's in the box and make sure that each item is preserved for generations to come. This is part 3 of 3, so please check out our other videos to see the rest of the episode and explore the other items in this box. Here we have a J.G. Dill's tobacco tin. It reads, Dill's Best Cut Plugs. First question I have, what is a cut plug? Chewing tobacco is typically manufactured as loose leaf, pellets, and plugs. Plugs are loose leaf tobacco condensed with a binding sweetener that is pressed into a brick-like mass of tobacco. From this, pieces are bitten off and chewed. Now we know plugs are a form of chewing tobacco. So how is this different from smoking tobacco? Chewing tobacco is consumed by placing a portion of the tobacco between the cheek and the gum and chewing. Unwanted juices are then spat. Chewing tobacco has been around for centuries. Indigenous peoples of the Americas, both North and South, chewed tobacco leaves long before white European settlers came along. By the 1840s, chewing tobacco was widely popular with European Americans and already emblematic of American baseball. Not so fun fact, despite the long-known fact that tobacco causes cancer and chewing tobacco causes mouth cancer, it was not until 2016 that Major League Baseball finally prohibited players from using smokeless tobacco products. During the American Civil War, soldiers chewed tobacco while on the battlefield, and by the late 1800s, chewing tobacco was ubiquitous in America, being used by man, woman, or child. When outside, people simply spit on the ground. Heck, even indoors. So to prevent the inevitable puddles of sticky spit all over church pews and living rooms, receptacles called spittoons were supplied inside buildings. To this day, you can find spittoons spread across the Senate chamber, as they are considered a Senate tradition. Okay, so that covers chewing tobacco. But what about J.G. Dill's? Their factory was built in 1854 by Joseph G. Dill, right in the heyday of chewing tobacco. It was located in the Shockoe Bottom District in Richmond, Virginia. Today, the Shockoe Bottom District is a thriving neighborhood with museums and trendy apartments. In fact, the Dill factory is now a luxury apartment building. The end. Just kidding. We are looking at a Civil War era tobacco company in Virginia. So I think you know where this is headed. While much of Shockoe Bottom has been raised and developed, its history is at the core of the suffering and injustice of slavery. Richmond, Virginia's slave trade was one of the most central in the country between 1830 and 1865. Shockoe Bottom was full of slave trade auction houses, slave jails, and home to prominent slave traders. The Dill factory is located just 1.5 miles from the White House of the Confederacy. Built in 1818, this National Historic Landmark served as the executive mansion and home for Confederate President Jefferson Davis from 1861 to 1865. They were neighbors. In 2014, the National Trust named Shockoe Bottom one of America's 11 most endangered historic places due to attempts to develop the area. The city wanted to construct a minor league baseball stadium, a Hyatt hotel, and a Kroger grocery store on the site. A Kroger grocery on a slave cemetery. It's bull. The stadium project threatened to destroy the archaeological remains and the opportunity to interpret this dark chapter in the history of our nation. Fortunately, this project was halted, and in 2017, an interpretive center was proposed. So if you would like to help preserve this history, you can visit savingplaces.org for more information. I love how a little tobacco tin that was sold in our local California grocer around the 1940s can take us on a journey to a Richmond, Virginia tobacco company nestled in the heart of the American slave trade and the fight to preserve this history so that Americans today can learn from the evil legacy it had left behind. Now that we have gotten to know our objects a little better, I'm going to switch to collections management mode. First, I take photos and I note the condition of each item. As you saw in the videos, the objects definitely show a lot of age and wear. Then I update the database. I attach the new images and I update the condition. I also note any research I've completed. This database helps me and researchers easily look through the items in our collection. If you want to take a look, we have this database accessible through our website. We keep adding more and more records as we update them, so every time you check back, there should be new things to explore. Finally, I improve how the items are stored in the box. I want to prevent items from shifting around. There are many agents of decay like light and dust, temperature, bugs, and then physical damage. I need to make sure that the objects are well supported, that they do not shift around, that they're not laying on each other in a way that can cause crushing. Ideally, I would not have to put so many items in one box, but as a small museum, we have very limited space. The balance between the ideal and what's possible has qualified me to join the circus as a tightrope walker. First step is I simply lay out how I think the items are gonna need to be organized in the box, and then when I think I have a plan that's gonna work, I start mapping it out. So here I am starting to develop barriers to keep the items in their own little compartments. I've also put the tobacco tins into little trays that rest on each other, and the tobacco tin does not have any pressure on top of it when I stack them. As the divider is built and I feel like I finally got it in the form that I want to keep it in, I finalize it and make sure that it's even and stable and trimmed and isn't gonna fluctuate or lose its shape over time. Another step is putting all the items into plastic bags. These bags help protect the items from dust and pests. Each bag has an ID number and a barcode on it, which makes identifying the items very easy, and the barcodes help with inventories. I'm almost done. Now I'm just creating a tray that will lay on top of the vulcanized rubber patch, and that'll support the lightweight Fuller brush letter opener and the mechanical pencil. And now we've got the final box. It's looking beautiful, if I do say so myself. You can see I have different compartments for holding different items. That way they're not going to shift or slide around. You've got the inks, you've got the tobacco tins. You've got a place for the chicken blinders and the pencil sharpener right on top of that. The other ink wells pop right in. And then finally the vulcanized tire patch in that front little section. Then I insert a protective piece of ethafoam, and then the tray goes right on top of that, holding the mechanical pencil, another pencil, and the Fuller brush letter opener. And finally, after hours of work, taking photos, updating the database, and rehousing the items, I can finally put this box back on the shelf. Correction, I decided last minute that I wasn't happy with that little tray, so I added a few little ties that secure the items onto the tray more easily and help you lift them out of the box without any difficulties. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of What's in the Box. We hope you've enjoyed it.